Hey there, Emily here. I wanted to talk today a little bit about budgeting. A lot of what we see on the news related to our finances, it really focuses on those things that we have no control over: geopolitics, market fluctuations, and the behavior of those that lead companies and the customers that support them. What we know as financial planners is that the biggest impact to our success actually lies within a small margin of space. It's between what we earn and what we spend. I know this sounds rote, but the data in your budget is what drives your financial plan. And once you have it, managing the budget is actually the day to day work that really makes your wealth engine run. You can focus on your investments, but really the biggest impact is here. So if you haven't set up a budget for the year, month, or coming week, or even tomorrow, now's a good time to put some thought into it. There are so many resources out there for setting up a budget, and they generally fall into two schools of thought. So, number one, engineers like me love knowing all of the details. And usually, if there's a couple, I tend to find that people fall into one of these two areas. So, the first one is the detail person, the nerd, as they're referred to. And number two is knowing only the essential details and just knowing enough to be dangerous. Both of these involve some work on your part to stay aligned with your goals. So, on the details side, apps and software, they're a huge help. But if you're looking to budget, but you don't really want to use software, don't worry. There are generally four rules of setting up a detailed budget. You can do it with a simple pencil and paper. So, rule one is to give every dollar a job. This means deciding in advance what you want each dollar of your income to be responsible for. Budgets are forward looking. So you can look at your past, that's a spending review, to kind of inform what your budget should be for a specific thing. But we're looking to the future here. So we're looking at a crystal ball. So everything that you're responsible for could include bills, savings, even fun spending. But by giving every dollar a specific purpose, you'll be less likely to overspend or waste money, basically spending on what you had not intended to spend on in the first place. So, rule two is to embrace your true expenses. And this means that including all of your irregular or annual expenses in your budget and not just your monthly bills. So, car registration, bark chips in the spring, you know that you're going to want to spend money on this. And so, by preparing for these expenses in advance, you won't be caught off guard when they come up. Rule three is to roll with the punches. Life is full of unexpected expenses, and so it's important to be flexible and just adjust your budget as needed. This is why it makes sense to look at it kind of often if you're a details person. So when something unexpected comes up, look for areas of your budget where you can cut back in order to make room for the unexpected expense. Rule four has to do with aging your money. So this means striving to have your money last at least 30 days after you've earned it. This will help you build up a cushion and reduce your reliance on credit cards, loans, moving things back and forth between checking and savings, or pulling back from investing that you could be doing. By having that really dialed in, if you have at least 30 days set aside, then you can think for 30 days before you have to make any kind of drastic money moves that would impact your longer term investing. So by following these four rules, you can create a budget that works for you and helps you achieve your financial goals. Now, some people cannot stand the idea of doing this more than maybe once a year. And so the second school of thought is probably where you land, and that's focused on the essentials only. This is commonly referred to as the unbudget. This is a unique approach to budgeting that focuses on aligning your spending with your values and your priorities. So instead of assigning every dollar a specific job, you start by setting financial goals based on what truly matters to you. So, for example, if one of your values is experiencing new cultures and travel, you might set a goal of saving for a round the world trip. Or if you value financial security, you might set a goal of saving for a down payment on a house or just building an emergency fund. Once you've identified your goals, then it's time to assess your income and expenses. Just take a look generally as a big chunk of your monthly income and subtract your fixed expenses, such as rent or mortgage payments and insurance premiums. And this will give you an idea of how much money you have left over for savings and investments and how you want to drive your life. Next, you'll just consider your variable expenses, such as groceries and entertainment. So this is where you focus on, are there any areas where you can cut back or make more mindful choices in order to free up more money for the things that you really care about? So it's not about deprivation. It's about trying to figure out how you can afford the things that you're really interested in. It's also a good idea to look for opportunities to increase your income. So can you negotiate a higher salary at your current job? Do you have any skills or services that you can offer on the side to generate additional income? Is there money out there that you don't know about, that you haven't gone searching for? Or maybe programs that you qualify for that totally legally would save you on taxes or other things. So the key to the unbudget is to be mindful of your spending and just make sure that it aligns with your values and goals. By focusing on what truly matters to you, you can also make the most of your financial resources and achieve your financial dreams. So it's a matter of knowing what it's going to take to get there. So if you're interested in leasing a Tesla this year, for example, there's a monthly payment associated with that. There's a down payment associated with that. You can map out basically how long it will take you, or I like to say how long you're willing to wait to achieve that goal. And so you can basically set aside money for that before you go and spend it on anything else. And then that's the only thing that you have to think about, is automating that saving and maybe looking at your plan later after you reach the goal or next year. So again, budgeting is not about deprivation or sacrificing the things you love. It's about making thoughtful, intentional choices with your money in order to live the life you love. So with the unbudget, you have the flexibility to prioritize what matters most to you and make your financial resources work for you. So I'd say give it a try and take control of your financial future in this way if you're not willing to do the first method at first. And I want to say there's a few common mistakes that people make when setting up their budget. Number one is not being very realistic. It's important to be honest with yourself about your spending habits and make a budget that's achievable. If you set unrealistic goals, you're more likely to become discouraged and give up on budgeting altogether. A lot of people start budgeting very deep in debt and spending more than they earn. And that's kind of the American way. It's really common, and you shouldn't be beating yourself up over it. Instead, come up with a plan to be better than you were last time you looked. So see if there's ways to improve the negative number by 1% or a couple $100 a month. Sometimes it's completely out of reality for some, and it's completely doable for others. So stick to reality. That's my encouragement for you. So if you set unrealistic goals, you're just going to give up. You're going to end up not following your plan, and you'll give up on it altogether. Pitfall number 2 is not tracking your expenses at all. In order to have a successful budget, you need to have a clear understanding of where your money is going, at the very least once a year. And that's why we're putting out this video now. This means tracking your expenses either through receipts or a budgeting app, or just a quick review of your checking account balances on a specific date. The next problem is not setting specific goals. So a budget is a tool to help you achieve your financial goals, whether it's saving for a down payment on a house, paying off debt. But without specific goals, it's difficult to know what you're working towards and if you're making progress. So how do you measure success if you're saving into a savings account for multiple things, but you're pulling it out for emergencies, and it's a very fluid thing. It's very hard to measure. The next issue is not reviewing and adjusting your budget regularly. So regularly is something that is meaningful to you, something that helps you move this thing forward. If it's totally unpractical for you to be looking at it more than once a year, then do it once a year. If you can be looking at it every day and it motivates you, look at it every day. You're definitely going to fall somewhere on the spectrum, and it needs to be something that's practical for you. Life is constantly changing, and your budget should reflect that. Make sure to review your budget regularly and make adjustments as needed. By avoiding these mistakes, you can set yourself up for success. And once you have your numbers, you can start taking control over getting after those goals. And that's my department. So let me know how it goes. Give us feedback and good luck with your budgeting.